Amazon Teamsters were arrested last week. Amazon called the cops on them, which shows that Amazon is not going to be allowing the union to get a good contract without mobilization and action from the ALU.
The Reform Caucus in the Amazon Labor Union won their first ever officer election, so that's good. We were, I wasn't going to take a position on it on the elections, but generally it seems like the ALU Democratic Reform Caucus were good, and they had a good program and all that kind of stuff. But they won, and not only did they won all 15 top leadership spots, including the 4 spots on the executive board and 11 on the union's constitutional committee. So they did not lose a single election. So that's pretty cool. The Democratic Reform Caucus slate included Connor Spence for president, Brima Cilia for vice president, Kathleen Cole for secretary-treasurer, and Sultana Hussain for recording secretary. Official tallies have not been released, but people who observed the vote count told Labor Notes, and this is coming from a Labor Notes article from Luis Feliz Leon, Reform Caucus wins Amazon Labor Union officer elections. Check it out. There's going to be more in that article than I'm reading here. But official tallies haven't been released, but people who observed the vote count told Labor Notes that the Reform Caucus won about 50% of the votes for each seat, and that the ALU Ma'at slate, which was the incumbent slate, got about a quarter. Total turnout was tiny, roughly 250 voters out of 5,500 workers. That's a really not good indication of the strength of the union. In a statement from Connor Spence, who was also a co-founder of the Amazon Labor Union and their former treasurer, he's the new president, he said, "We are extremely excited to announce that every candidate on our Reform Caucus slate won decisively in our union's leadership elections. After more than 2 years of fighting to reform our union to make it more democratic, transparent, and militant, we are relieved to finally be able to turn our full attention toward bringing Amazon to the table and winning an incredible contract. The movement to organize Amazon is still growing rapidly, and for us, our Teamster allies and rank-and-file members, much of this is uncharted territory. We will be communicating in the coming days our transition plan and how we expect to execute the tremendous task ahead of us. For now, we're grateful to our members, supporters, and movement allies for standing with us and making this possible." And this does come after the ALU affiliated with the Teamsters, forming ALU IBT Local 1. And it is worth mentioning that the Democratic Reform Caucus was supportive of the affiliation with the Teamsters Union. I think it was probably the right move, but everybody involved, the incumbent slate, the Democratic Reform Caucus, anybody who was a leader at JFK 8 was supportive of the affiliation vote, so I think that should tell you something. Current and former, and this is back to the article, current and former ALU executives ran on the ALU Ma'at slate, promising truth, justice, and harmony, qualities of the Egyptian goddess Ma'at. Claudia Ashterman, Tyrone Mitchell, Rena Cummings, and Arian Kingston ran for president, vice president, recording secretary, and secretary-treasurer, respectively. The slate was backed by some of the union's founders, including Chris Smalls, Derek Palmer, Gerald Bryson, and Jordan Flowers. Chris Smalls did not run for president. He declined to run. Ashterman, the leader of the Ma'at slate, declined to comment via text message. A third slate, known as Workers First, led by Michelle Valentin Nieves, a former ALU executive board member and a key leader in the union, also ran, but it garnered only a small portion of the vote.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
Both slates emphasized in their campaigns winning a new contract, but the Reform Caucus also vowed to make sweeping changes. Continuing from the article, and this is really important, sweeping changes to transform the union, creating a system of stewards, allowing members to vote on and approve budgets, hiring an external firm to conduct financial audits quarterly, and expanding the executive board from the current 4 officers to 20 to 30 JFKA workers drawn from the shop floor. So that's exciting, and I think particularly creating a system of stewards is important for the power and the institutionalization of the union within the workplace. And then allowing members to vote on and approve budgets is super important. I think it's I think it's just straight up not legal to not do that. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but it's crazy if they were not doing that before. So, yeah, I mean, that's good, I guess. The winners of this election are going to allow members to vote on the budget. So there you go. But, you know, I mean, this follows a lot of controversy within the Amazon labor union at JFK 8. You know, criticisms of Chris Smalls that he focused on photo ops and not organizing, that he was flaky in his commitment to the union, that he was not strategic. Also, that he was not interested in actually building towards striking, which is kind of interesting given his, like, militant rhetoric. But he, in an interview to the New York Times, talked about how we do not want to talk about striking in the Amazon labor union because workers are afraid of striking. And so we don't want to strike, which is just kind of bonkers. You know, I mean, I can't think of a major company that was organized and brought to heel and brought to a contract without striking. You know, I mean, when you talk about the organization of the auto workers, the organization of the steel workers, the organization of the mine workers, it all took strikes and major strikes. And so the idea that you're not going to be trying to educate members about the importance of being ready to strike and being willing to strike and the power that striking gives you as a leader is just, I mean, really, you know, I mean, not good. And he was criticized for it. Also, you know, former VP Derek Palmer, he had allegations of domestic violence. He was defended by Chris Smalls before ultimately Palmer did resign after he admitted to the allegations. Smalls did not want an election until he got a contract, which was not happening. In fact, he fought the Democratic Reform Caucus's efforts to get elections, fought it in court for a long time. You know, I mean, we're 2 years out from the election win of the union before, and they still have they had never up until last week had officer elections. And so, you know, it's not good, some not good stuff. And so hopefully this is going to be a turning point for the ALU and their, you know, and their work at Amazon, because it's incredibly important.
Yeah, absolutely.
That they are able to get a contract and organize more Amazon shops, because they're not going to be able to remain an island and do anything of value. It's just not going to happen. And in another update, you know, I don't have much on this. The Washington Post is paywalled, unfortunately. But Amazon Teamsters were arrested last week at the Staten Island location by Amazon. Had the cops call on them, which shows that, you know, I mean, Amazon is not going to be taking this lightly and just allowing the union to get a good contract without, you know, some real mobilization and action from the ALU. So Connor Spence and the Amazon Labor Union's Democratic Reform Caucus do seem like they are willing to talk about striking and willing to explicitly talk about that as something that they will build up to and threaten credibly if necessary. So we'll continue to follow that because it's obviously incredibly important.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.